actually literally makes me start playing the video to make sure the stream is working.
Meanwhile, we're like live right now.
Yes, we are live right now. Welcome everybody to OpenCast. For those of you who are just paying attention with your ears, no, this is not Toku Portal. I just stole people. Haha, zero. Joining me today is...
Rai.
This is DK. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Rai. One
Just
of
go
you
ahead.
two say your names.
Just go ahead, King.
And King.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've botched
We're
the
off to a lovely
opening,
And it wasn't me this time.
so first we're like, what, 3 weeks late on doing this. And then when we finally sit down and do it, we can't even say our fucking names.
So to everybody about the delay, I myself apologize, seeing as this is my channel and my podcast. We all had life get in the way that ended up interfering with us being able to get online at the same time and do the podcast. But anyways, on that note, welcome to part 2 of the BladeCast.
Kamen Rider Blade. So last time we went over the first half of the series. We made a lot of good progress. So I feel like we can finish this one, even if it takes us another 2 hours. So we left off with Mutsuki sealing the king of his suit, the Tarantula Undead. The Tarantula Undead letting him seal him, believing that he can kind of like overpower the Spider Undead's influence on him and stop him from being evil. We don't have a conclusion to this. It's just kind of implied that it didn't work. It's going to be a while before we get a conclusion. So that's the end of the second arc, and we start off the third arc, switching focus to Hajime, Kamen Rider Chalice. This arc mostly focuses on Chalice and Kinzaki's relationship building up. And this is where we start to get to really like the core of this series. How do you guys feel about their relationship early on? King, I know you haven't really seen the series, so you might not have anything to say. But their relationship early on is a rocky start, with Hajime being antagonistic and Kinzaki being like, alright, well, if you're not going to be nice to me, then I'll be antagonistic to you as well.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to watch it grow, and it was kind of, I don't want to say ignored, but it was definitely put on the back burner for other character developments and stuff that was going on. But yeah, it's definitely a good, I mean, I would say an epic kind of rivalry thing that they got going on.
Go ahead, King.
Sorry. Like you said, I don't really have much to say on it, but I have seen that kind of relationship in Toku before, so I can see how early on they'd be utter jackasses to each other. Is that close? Or
Pretty much, and it's all Hajime's fault. Like, Kinzaki is willing to work with him, and Hajime is just telling him to piss off.
why does that sound familiar, actually? But yeah, I mean,
Familiarity for that. Xaid. Fucking... That's pretty much Brave in a nutshell for the first, what, half of that show?
oh sweet, so I do know it.
Fucking Meteor, fucking almost the majority of the secondary writers, that was kind of the way they introduced. So, no, you're just in my way now. I'm here now. Get the fuck out of my way.
Yeah, that's everybody. So, at least I know where it's coming from, and I'm glad they're actually developing it.
So, at this point in the series, we know that Hajime is an undead. We don't know too much about him, though. it's been suggested that he's not quite the undead that others thought he was, and this is where that really starts to take off. We have other undead start referring to him as Joker, which in a deck of cards, a Joker is usually the extra. It's like the wild card. And we start getting visions of like what happens if Hajime wins, because for all the other undead, they're all a different race. So if they win their race, they get to decide that their race becomes dominant. What about this wild card? What does he do? He just ends it all. Like, no winner, game over. We open up the third arc with an episode where Hajime actually, like, gets amnesia and runs into because he, in a fight with another undead, like, he gets amnesia, runs into a guy that looks like him, and they swap lives for a day. I explained this episode to King already. She loved it.
That's one way to put it, I guess.
It is the most out of place episode in the entire series. It has a completely different tone to it than everything else. Everything that we've gone through so far, everything that we're going to go through. It is just the most out of place, and yet it's still not that bad.
Right, and that's true because, like, well, yes, it's really out of place. Because of some of the characters it focuses on, it works really well. Because one of the characters is that little, I can't remember her name. The girl that's so attached to him.
Yeah, that's Takoyaki girl, or no, she's the Taiyaki girl. The episode is about two riving families, one that makes takoyaki and one that makes taiyaki, and it's this pseudo Romeo and Juliet bullshit.
It is so fucking weird, but it leads to like a fair bit more explanation of the way Hajime's character is. This one's more kind of like the self-discovery episode, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, like, because he doesn't remember who he is, but here are these two warring families talking about fighting to survive, and that kind of like gets him going. Like, yeah, I will help you out. I'll do this to survive, even though he doesn't actually know what he's doing. That's just his natural instinct, and in a way, that's kind of how it is for all the undead. Anyone else have something to say on this?
I'm good.
It's definitely out there, but yeah, it is. It was I mean, it was appropriate. It wasn't done in like the middle of some arc where you're like, "What the hell's going on?" It was kind of just a breather episode, but it was still pretty decent.
So, during this, Hajime ends up stealing the Serpent Undead, which is Tachibana's queen. And then he goes and gives it to Tachibana so that he can use his Jack form. It's not really made clear entirely why he does it. He just makes a comment about, yeah, grow stronger so that I can grow stronger. Which doesn't really come up ever again. So it feels a little out of place, but whatever. And yeah, then we get the reveal that if Hajime wins as the Joker, everything is destroyed. Basically, it resets the battle fight. They just try again. This is also why Hajime can become any other undead. That's just the Joker's thing. When he seals them, he has them, and he becomes them. And he just favors Chalice because he's one of the strongest category aces.
Using the whole deck of cards metaphor, which is pretty much all this series is about, is the Joker is literally the wild card. It can be any card. So for this aspect, he can be any undead. But yeah, it's like this actually. The reason why I liked this whole story arc with Hajime was because it did lead to a great fucking essentially a three-way rivalry. Ignoring the dumb shit with Liangle.
Yeah, I mean, I like the twist it brought, and you actually kind of said the thing I was going to say, but I was going to refer it to the tarot deck, because Joker is pretty much the same thing. He's the most powerful card in the deck, because he can become anything. It's a blank slate. Although I doubt Hajime's a blank slate, so the card deck is probably a bit better representation. In any case, I think it's really cool.
Decade, anything?
Not really.
Okay. So, because the Joker undead is bad for literally every other undead, they all kind of like see him as their priority threat. Like, we need to take this guy out first. In fact, the spider undead, Mutsuki's ace, is the only one that looks at Joker and goes, "Oh, now that I know you're him, I don't need to worry." That kind of makes me feel like Spider Undead may have been the one to seal the Joker in the original battle fight. So, now introduce the Kakasis Undead, which is a type of beetle. It is Kenzaki's king, and he goes by the name King. He kidnaps Hajime and starts taking his cards away. Because he doesn't care too much about winning, he just wants to cause a mess, so he's trying to provoke Hajime to return to his Joker form and go on a rampage. And if Hajime doesn't have any other cards, he can't become any other undead. It's a weirdly sadistic, too.
Right. It's like, especially for, like, because the whole plan on that was literally like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to let you do all the dirty work to get rid of all this other shit, but I'm going to make you rampage to do it. And hey, if you get taken out at the same time by one of the other riders, that's better. That was better for King. It was a really good plan, rather sadistic, with the fact that with Hajime's mentality of not wanting to become the Joker, because like that was his whole thing for like the rest of the series, is the fact that he did not want to become the Joker, because literally all he does at that point is destroy shit. And this is one of the points where I'd mentioned on the last podcast that Hajime losing his cards becomes a fucking thing. This happens a lot.
This is like the big one too, because so King has this power where he just has this really tough shield, so no one can hurt him. And then he recruited the Scarab Undead, who can freeze time, to help him out. So he's basically untouchable right now, and so he's just taking Hajime's cards away one by one. I would attribute it to like forcing someone like into a room and then just forcing them to take off their clothes one by one. It's really fucking weird, and it comes off as really creepy.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty sadistic villain, which makes him pretty fun, especially with the whole, like, him recording, attacking people and stuff. Yeah, he's definitely a weirdo. But, yeah, the other thing that's pretty interesting about the whole thing is that Hajime's rider system is part of him, so unless he just goes full Joker, he's kind of just weak. Pretty interesting.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can talk.
I just want to ask, from what you told me about most of the villains besides Joker, Are all of the undead kind of like messed up somehow in the head? Is that a common trait they have, or is this guy just special?
This guy is the most special. They all have their own desires and like just like their own personal goals. Most undead are just after winning and trying to like make their species the dominant one. Some undead just have other goals, like they're just happy like as long as their species exist, which is why they don't want the Joker to win. But they're just happy so long as they can like do other things. And for this guy, he just wants to cause a mess of things. He just wants to fuck everything up.
Alright. That's nice to know that all of them are sadistic psycho jackasses.
This king in particular even has this like laugh, this maniacal laugh. There's this one scene where Muski's girlfriend, I forget her name. She like gets ganged up on by these guys, and King sees them gang up on her, and he's like, "Wait, that's Leango's girlfriend? Okay." And he just goes up to the guys, and he like, "Alright, you run away," and he just starts tormenting them. It's like, "Hey, why don't you guys try and hit me?" And he has his shield, and he's like, and he won't let them leave until they do it, until Kinzaki shows up and chases and like instigates a fight with him and gets the other guys to run away. He's that kind of sadistic. But meanwhile, while King is still stealing Hajime's cards, Kinzaki is attacked by a mysterious undead, one that doesn't go off on their locator radar, even though they're literally at the base. And when Kinzaki defeats it, he's unable to seal it, and it just kind of melts away.
And yeah, like the first time I saw it, I was like, "What the fuck?" Because this thing literally just pops up out of nowhere, kind of thing. There's like no real setup for it until after the fact. And for King and anybody else who hasn't seen this, when we say he failed to seal it, I think we may have covered it in the last podcast. How they seal them is basically they defeat the monster and throw a card at it, and the card absorbs them. And in this case, he throws the card and the thing absorbs the card, and then just melts.
And like, you know, they're like officially defeated because they all have a belt buckle that opens up to signal like that they've lost. And this mysterious undead does have that, and it opens up. But when Kinzaki tosses the card at it, it just doesn't do anything.
Okay. Do they ever give an explanation for why that is?
Yes.
Are we going to talk about that later, or is that a sort of...
We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring it up now because this is kind of like how events unfold.
Well, just in general, it was a pretty damn interesting concept the first time I watched it, because, you know, most rider shows I'd seen before watching Blade, it's just like, oh, this is the enemy, this is their gimmick, this is mostly... Yeah, there's going to be some different ones, but they all kind of have the same thing going on. But then when those weird robot abomination things start showing up, it's like, whoa, what the hell just happened to Blade? Pretty interesting.
Right, it's like, and the fact that they literally just, the first time it pops up is literally out of nowhere with no explanation. Blink, here's one.
So Hajime eventually does like get out. He gets away from King because King, like, if you listen to our last podcast, you might remember Hajime lives with a family, and the daughter in that family, Amane, is obsessed with Hajime. And so King decides, like, oh, if you're not going to show me your Joker form, then maybe I'll target her next. And so Hajime shows him his Joker form to, like, alright, leave her the fuck alone. And then he bails, but he still has his Category 2 card. And he gets back to the others, and that's when they start to realize, like, okay, Hajime is the Joker. He can borrow the forms of the other undead. And if he's taking on a human form, that means that he has the sealed human undead.
Wait, what?
Yes. The winner of the previous battle fight has already been sealed before the start of the series. Hajime's human form has been the human undead all along.
Okay, but there's a human undead now?
There was always one, because the battle fight is always about fighting, and then the winning species win, like their species dominates the earth, and then humans won. Human undead won the original battle fight.
Okay, now I get it. Alright.
And all this, we've seen like some of the higher level undead take on human forms, but Joker is a special case.
Because he can take on any form he fucking wants.
Any of the other undead that he has sealed. And that includes the human undead.
I gotcha, okay.
And to put this even more into perspective, human undead is a category 2. The lowest rank amongst them all. And that's who won the last battle fight.
I'll be damned.
I have a theory about that, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
Yeah.
Human Undead actually possesses Hajime for a few minutes to talk to everyone else and tell them, like, okay, so I know this is a fucked up situation you're in right now, but I'll tell you this. He doesn't want to become the Joker again. I can feel it in his heart. He has a heart, by the way. Joker is supposed to be like the raw killing machine. So this kind of sets up some more stuff for his relationship with Kanzaki. He's like, he's becoming human, he wants to be human. And then they ask the important question. What happens when you win the battle fight? You hear the master's voice, and then you get to decide which race is going to be the dominant race. And that's what happened to him, because he was the last winner. Any of you have anything else to say on that?
Nope.
Like, it was a nice little moment, especially with the human undead taking over, going, hey, by the way, don't give this dude too much shit. Despite how some of that plays out with, future events, like, it was one of those moments where because everything we've been told of the undead is they just want to fight, that's all it is, like, there's like no human compassion or anything like you would expect. And then there's Joker, who doesn't want any of that. He wants a nice, peaceful life, despite having to fight in the battle. He doesn't want to destroy the world and all that. It's like, it was a nice moment to go, huh, he's more human than he thinks.
It's also really interesting because we've gotten a few hints at Hajime being curious about humans throughout the series. We know that he had an experience with someone on a mountain where it was Amane's father, and as he was dying, he hands Hajime a photo of his family, saying can you tell my family what happened to me, or something like that. And Hajime is confused, in his dying moments, he was thinking about someone else. What is up with that? Why would you do that? And that kind of starts a chain of events of him being curious about humans. And now we see, like, he wants to be human. He doesn't want to be the Joker, who he naturally is. It was no coincidence that, like, the suit that he collects in the series is the Heart suit.
Cruel irony much?
Okay, so you all remember Hirose? She's the girl that is the one with the computer that's detecting the undead and telling Kinzaki and Tachibana where they are.
Yes.
And then we had that whole thing about how she believed her father unsealed the undead to learn the secret of immortality. Tachibana learns that her father, named Yoshito, is still alive. So that mysterious undead that attacked Kinzaki earlier, he calls it Trial D. He made it. He just made an artificial undead. That's why it couldn't be sealed earlier, because there was nothing to actually seal. He also specifically directed it to attack Kinzaki. So this guy is already, like, being a little... Yeah, this is our main antagonist for this arc.
Do they sucker punch him?
No, Tachibana starts working with him.
Because, yeah, like I said last podcast, that's another thing.
Tachibana puts his trust in the weirdest people.
You think?
Because literally everybody he puts his trust in, until he finally puts his trust in Blade and everybody else, is literally the bad guy. Every step of the way.
So, like, Yoshito knows something about Kinzaki that he finds disturbing, and finds that Kinzaki is a potential threat, and that's why he feels like he should be taken out. Tachibana, like, tries to tell him, like, no, let me just talk to Kinzaki about taking away his rider belt, and let's not do all that stuff. One thing I forgot to mention earlier. When they're talking to the human undead, human undead actually specifically says, yeah, I let the Joker seal me away. So it wasn't like he was hunted down or anything, like, he chose to lose. Possibly because he felt like, hey, maybe I can help the Joker understand, or maybe because, like, oh yeah, my species has won, they've been lasting long enough, let someone else win. We never get a clear reason on why. Vashi, did you have something to say?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a bit strange as to why that human undead was so selfless. I guess maybe he saw, like, potential in Joker to change. I don't know, it is pretty weird.
From that kind of standpoint, it does kind of make sense a little bit, because, like, even if the battle royal had ended, that means that Joker, the only way it could have ended, then, using the logical way on this, was that Joker did win. Because you have to defeat the Joker to end the battle, so there were still two undead. So I guess him letting the Joker seal him is, I guess, for lack of a better term, twisted the system into thinking he was a human undead. I guess that would be the easiest way to explain why the humans are still around and not Joker.
Right, like, well, just because the human undead got sealed away doesn't mean, like, it's over. Like, it hasn't ended yet, because there's still other undead. There needs to be a definitive winner.
Right, but with with everything that was explained to us, the only ones that was unsealed initially was the Joker, and then the rest of them got unsealed in the lab.
I thought they were all unsealed at the same time.
Yeah, it could be. I don't remember that entirely too well, but from the way it seems, it would seem that the Joker had been around for a while. Because we have all the because we have the flashback scenes with why he's at Amane's restaurant.
The undead were sealed 2 years prior to the start of the series. They just hadn't been very active because they scattered about, and then around the start of the series, it's specifically stated they're becoming more active.
Okay, I missed that.
Yeah, they were all unsealed around the same time, but not all of the undead were unsealed. They had a few to start with, and that's how they made the rider system. So, Tachibana tries convincing Kinzaki to give up being a rider. He doesn't quite explain why. He probably wasn't given the full reason, and I think he was actually. They just don't really explain it right now. But there's clearly something that they're worried about with Kinzaki being a rider. But meanwhile, Hajime only has his Category 2. He doesn't have the others, which he had been using to kind of suppress the Joker's instinct, so now he's in danger of turning back into Joker. So Kinzaki had earlier sealed the Wolf Undead, which is Hajime's Jack. So he gives it to him, and then goes out to find King to get the rest of his cards back. And what does King do? He gives the cards to Mutsuki. Why? He just likes to mess around. Be a little dick.
He doesn't take the shits, but he disturbs them. Yeah, it was literally just to be an asshole. He's like, I don't need this anymore. Here, you go fuck with this shit. Because he can.
Such a troll villain.
Please tell me he makes memes too.
This was before memes.
Damn it!
Just to let you know, King, I hung my head at that.
Now we're even.
Kinzaki is also being hunted by Trial E now. And he realizes that the undead is specifically targeting him because Yoshito couldn't wait till for Tachibana to convince him. Kinzaki runs away from home so that they won't attack him while he's there and hurt Kotaro and Hirose. We get a really good moment out of this because then afterwards when they realize he ran away, they're like, what the fuck? What's he gonna do on his own? And they just kind of convince him, it's like, yeah, we don't care that this shit is dangerous. We're helping you out with it. We're involved. Tachibana doesn't tell Hirose that her father is alive, by the way. He just keeps that information a secret because he asks him, don't you want to go see your daughter? He's like, no, not right now. Okay, so they come up with this really good idea to track down the Kakasis undead. Kinzaki at some point does seal Scarab undead. I guess I didn't write that down. So Hirose like got a picture of him, of King, and she sent out a poster saying, "I want to thank the man who saved my life. Reward, please text me if you find him." And so King, who's like likes to mess with people, is suddenly finding like, why are those people looking at me? And he tries walking away, and suddenly there's a huge group following him, and they're like all taking pictures. And he's like, "What the fuck?" It's a little good ironic moment.
Yeah, she definitely got some clever points there.
Like with up to this point in the series, it kind of seemed like they were keeping all of this stuff like hush hush, which typically seems to be the case with a lot of the writer series, where the whole urban legend thing with it, and for them to just go, "Hey, yeah, go find this person for me." Fuck it, we're just gonna let everybody know. Go for it.
Well, she didn't say anything about him being an undead. She actually lied, said, "Oh, he saved my life."
Right. It's like, what? Like typically they don't go that route to try to find somebody.
Oh yeah, it's definitely unique.
With the villains, they usually try to, like I said, like they usually try to keep everything kind of hush hush, and we'll figure everything out on our own. So for them to go the route of, "Hey, we need to find somebody. Let's use anybody we can find," it was a great touch, and one of the more unique things in this series.
And then when Kinzaki confronts him, King just goes, "What are you gonna do? Transform in front of all these people and reveal your secret?" And Kinzaki just goes, "Yes! Henshin!" And it works. Like, yeah, I got you now. In the way, go on.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, the fuck?
Yeah, because there's this huge crowd of people that think that, like, oh, we're looking for this person. And then, oh, hey, here's a common rider. Oh, and that person is actually a monster. And we have a really good fight scene here. In the way Kinzaki ends up beating him is by taking his own sword and using it to break his shield. You can't have the ultimate defense and the ultimate offense. Of course, he was kind of taking a gamble there. It worked out for him. And that is how he seals his king and has all 13 cards in his suit. So he, instead of activating his Jack form, he replaces his Jack card with his new King card and is able to combine with all 13 undead and achieve his King form. Oh wait, that was still Trial D attacking him earlier. That's when he finally actually like defeats Trial D, like the power of his final form. It's like, yeah, okay, now I'm gonna destroy you.
In terms of achieving his, a writer achieving his, this is the setup that I miss, like legitimately earning the power ups.
Oh yeah, this is a fantastic final form reveal in many ways, especially yeah, like including how he earns it.
Like, and then the fact that like he didn't even know that him switching out the king would actually do anything. He's like, let's try this. It was more of a let's see what the hell happens kind of thing, rather than it just being, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. Do this. Hey, new form. It was, let's see. And the fact that he literally had to whoop ass to get it. Like, I've missed those days of Rider. Because the last couple of series, they've been kind of handed to them.
Don't worry, Emu. I'll just make you a stronger Gashet that can be totally more broken than his broken one.
Earn.
And when Karasuma, the guy that made the arousers for the Jack form, he even says, like, yeah, I intended for there to be a king form, but what Kinzaki did went beyond my expectations. Because it's not just using the power of the king, it's using the power of all 13 undead in his suit.
And for me, the only thing that killed his final form was the fact that it wasn't a rider kick.
But that sword, though.
Yeah, that sword was just fucking awesome.
And his new
And then
finisher
he
is
starts
called
to both.
Royal Stray Flush.
Yeah, that's like seriously the best finisher of all time. It's so good, and it's so much fun in the video games.
And if you, like, just going back and looking at it, it has the remnants of, like, Decade's, rider kick. Where it throws up the cards and he just runs.
But unfortunately, Kinzaki's new king form doesn't sit well with Hajime. It kind of, it kicks in his Joker instincts and turns him back into the Joker.
Which that was a nice little touch, too, with it, where it...
Vashi, you cut out there. Vashi?
Robot.
Okay, while Vashi fixes his mic, King, do you have any thoughts on this? Not having seen the series.
It's certainly an interesting way to go, and like Vashi said, I do like the earning the power-up thing. That is nice. Although, I keep getting confused when you guys keep saying king. I keep thinking you're referring to me for a split second.
Sorry.
I guess that came with the risk.
Real quick, is my audio fixed?
Yes. What were you trying to say?
It was the fact that not only was this the final form power-up, which was fantastic and awesome in of itself, it wasn't the power-ups that the power-ups we're so used to having, where it's, oh, here's a power-up, do with it what you will. This one actually had a drawback. So it wasn't a, hey, we can use this all the time. It was, well, shit, if I use it, this is gonna get fucked up. And it was a nice touch.
And then Tachibana questions to Yoshito, like, how are you making undead? And Yoshito reveals, like, alright, so we have the sealed Paradoxa undead, and I'm using the DNA from that. The Paradoxa undead being Hajime's king. We're running low on undead here in the series. So I can understand why, production-wise, they're like, alright, so we're just going to make a series of fake undead. And it works out really well in the plot. So this is where Trolley actually comes in. And Yoshito's confident, like, yeah, this should be able to deal with the new king form because it has the DNA of a king in it. So Kinzaki finds out that Mutsuki has Hajime's cards. And agrees, like, okay, you can have my Rouse Absorber, the thing that gives him his Jack form, if you give me his cards to bring to him. Tachibana decides to steal the Paradox Undead and trades it to Kinzaki for his belt to keep him from transforming. Kinzaki gives all of Hajime's cards back. He now has all 13 cards in his suit. With it, he's able to suppress the Joker, and he unlocks his Wild form, which he uses to, I believe, defeat Trial E.
I loved his wild form.
It is a really good final form, rivaling Blade's own. So Yoshito explains that to Kinzaki that if he continues to use King form, he will become another Joker. His ability to... So, in order to henshin with the undead, the category says you have to be able to sync up with them. Kinzaki's sync is stronger than any of the others that they've seen. Disturbingly so. And his king form isn't just using the king, it's using all 13. He's combining with all 13. He is turning into an undead himself as he uses it. And he will become another Joker if he does it enough. And that's why they don't want him to transform anymore. They're trying to prevent that.
Because, yeah, that's an awesome way to set up the rules for a power-up. Because, like, it was, like I said earlier, it's like, I mean, this is one of the best power-ups with the way they handled it. Because it's not, oh, well, I can use this in any battle just to fucking end it whenever. Which seems to be the case here a lot more recently with Rider, because it's, you know, there's no drawback to using them whatsoever. So they kind of overly used them. It wasn't not so much an exit because it kept getting fucking stolen or other shit happened, but with like O's and 4s, their ultimate forms just kind of got, especially in Wizard. Oh my god, did they overuse their fucking final form in Wizard?
Was it worse than Kiva? Because Kiva really spams his final form.
But his song makes it worth it, so it's okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure if there's an actual final form with Wizard. I'm counting it as his diamond form. But yeah, he's once he gets it, it's like it gets to a point where that's literally like all he fucking uses. It gets ridiculous.
Just like Kiva.
With a shittier song. But at least with Blade, it was, like I said, it's like, you can use it all you want, but shit's gonna go south really fucking quick if you do. So it became one of those more power-ups of, use it literally only when you need it. And then later on, there's a whole thing involving that. But it was one of those, they did it in a way that made sense. It stayed true to the series without it being ridiculous and over the top, and it played really, really well with this series, and I fucking love his final form because of it.
Now, you're probably wondering what Musuke's been doing this whole arc. He's just kind of been moping about for the most part, occasionally coming out to fight undead. But mostly he's been dealing with his category queen, the Tiger Undead, who's just been kind of chilling with him, trying to see what kind of person he's like and such. And it gets really deep into it, because the Tiger Undead is like, yeah, this isn't even a true battle fight. The Master, the thing that was sealing the undead back during the original fight, isn't doing that here. It's the Riders. This whole thing is just fucked up, and she doesn't like it. What do you think?
Like, for an undead, I liked her. And just...
You're cutting out again.
Goddamn piece of crap. Is that better?
Yeah.
Like, for an undead, I liked her. She was one of the more unique ones involving in this whole thing, because she has a very big self-preservation mode to herself. Especially, you know, when she starts, you know, looking into shit. and just like the way seems really interested.
You cut out again. I can't hear you.
Like a family thing with it.
Okay, you're back.
Ah, crap baskets. Where did that cut out this time?
You said she's really interested.
Like, she's really interested in Mutsuki. I mean, beyond the fact of it being his category queen, it's almost on a family kind of level of trying to figure out what he is, his mentality, and everything else on that. You know, it's of a more personal nature rather than just, what kind of person are you? It's like her entire character for her entire story arc for herself. I fucking loved it.
Definitely surprising to get that much character building in someone that isn't like the main villain. So yeah, I definitely think she was a decent touch to Mutsuki's otherwise. Like, if she wasn't there, I don't see how the arc could have been. I don't see how he could have been redeemed as well as he was, but the fact that he had to basically get his shit together because of her, and that was pretty good stuff.
And all that stuff I said about the undead just want to do what's best for their race, that all comes from her. No other undead gets that involved into like why they're actually fighting. Most of them are just fighting. They just fight. All that stuff, like, she's the one that actually gets like deep into it about like, no, this is for my race. I want them to evolve. I want to preserve them. Like, I don't want them treated just like shit. And I assume that other undead feel similarly, even if they're bad at expressing it.
Not the elephant one, that's for sure.
Elephant undead. Yeah, he just goes on a rampage whenever he feels like it. So, Yoshito, we find out that he's not the original Yoshito. That guy died when he unsealed the undead. He is Trial B, created to replace Yoshito upon his death. He has all of Yoshito's actual memories. He tries reuniting with Hirose, his daughter, going back to her, but she's still like hesitant. Like, she doesn't really know how to feel about him after all this time. Like, she's sure that her father sealed, or at least all the undead, and caused this whole mess in the first place. And it's like the most awkward like reunion you could ever see.
That's a fucking understatement. Oh my god, that was uncomfortable to watch. I couldn't imagine being in that. Like, that whole fucking... That whole thing was just a whole giant bag of fuckery.
Especially since, like, she knows that he's not the original one, so it's like, who are you anyways? You're just a fake undead. They actually end up kidnapping Mutsuki, and using part of his DNA to create another trial, to send after Kinzaki again. And the Tiger Undead, like, learns about this, and tells him about it. It's like, yeah, how do you feel about being cloned? And so, in the big fight against this final trial, they all kind of come together to take it out with each... They all work together, even if they're not working together, because Mutsuki is just pissed at, like, how dare they do that? It is a fantastic battle, and really, like, is a good send off to the third arc. We also I can't remember exactly how, but Yoshito also ends up dying during this moment. And even though like she doesn't quite acknowledge him, he does have her father's memories, so Hirose does kind of get to say goodbye to him this time. She didn't get to last time, so that kind of comforts her. It's a really strong moment for her, especially since she hasn't gotten much character development this series. This is probably her finest moment.
Yeah, it's like this. They didn't spend a whole lot of time developing her character, but yeah, this was all in all, it was just fantastic for her. It's one of the few times where like with these shows, I tend to connect with the characters in terms of like who they are and their motivations for all this. I didn't have a lot of it with her, so it's like with this entire scene, it literally poured that entire fucking thing out. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I like you now.
Yeah, even though she was pretty underdeveloped for a good chunk there, she was always decent at acting out what she had to. But now that the spotlight was on her and that whole chain of events, like she just really shined and made her a pretty memorable character. So yeah, I think they did a good job.
King, do you have anything to say?
You guys already said everything. I'm good.
So that seals off the third arc. Moving into the fourth one, there's only a few undead left, including the tiger undead. So Mutsuki wants to go and challenge. So Kinzaki got his belt and his Rouse Absorber back, so he has those. Mutsuki seals the tiger undead. She kind of half lets him do it. And then she gives him Tachibana's Rouse Absorber that she has. Mutsuki goes to challenge Kinzaki with it, because now he has his king and his queen, he can unlock his own king form. But when he tries to do it, instead, the spider undead ends up becoming unsealed. Mutsuki, now no longer under his control, can kind of face his own demons here and fight against the spider undead. Kinzaki even gives him his sword to do it, and this time he properly seals him away. It is a really good moment for Mutsuki, and really like emphasizes his character, who like just had been fighting for power this whole time, and just wanted to be like stronger. Now he's kind of like taking all that negativity that had been weighing him down and literally just sealing it away.
Yeah, this was a great moment for him. I think it was kind of long overdue, but it was long overdue in my opinion. But so focused on developing Hajime through his arc and all that, so that it kind of made sense that it kind of fell to the wayside a little bit. But there was still enough involving Mutsuki that it didn't seem like it was something that was forgot about. It was just, wow, this is taking forever.
It is the real conclusion to the second arc, and it's how we open up the fourth arc.
Right. It's like, so it was like, for an entire arc where entire 2 arcs that he's in, he is basically a giant Moby crybaby. I mean, you get to see more in depth into his character when he's interacting with Queen, because his queen, because she kind of starts pointing things out to him, like the fact that he really cares for his girlfriend and all that other stuff, despite him saying otherwise. So he's like, you get to see throughout the third arc a little bit more depth into him, and then to have this, it was a really good capping point to his character that, for me, made me like Mutsuki and Lay Angle better. Kind of the same way I liked Tachibana once he stopped being a bitch.
And you find out that the Tiger Undead asked Tachibana for his Rouse Absorber because she had planned this. She knew that she could help Mutsuki get through this if he sealed her away. And it does work. Like, Mutsuki, without the Spider Undead, Mutsuki can hear the voices of the Tarantula Undead and her inside of him telling him, like, let's just stop the fighting. Let's just put an end to all of this. And it really, like, puts the undead in a new light, too.
Right. Like, because all this is, like, at least when he's not fully under control, he's, like, one of his...
You cut out again.
Sorry. Is it working again?
Yes.
Like, one of his big things when he wasn't controlled by the undead was the fact that he wanted to be a hero. So it was a nice, you know, kind of capping point to where now he can be one. You know, it gave him his character's, I guess, finality to his dream. You know, his goal came true, albeit very late and not without its problems, because he still has confidence issues and whatnot with it all. It's like, but it was done very well. It's like, when it comes, and it's one of the things I like about the series is the writing for the characters. Like, even if this stuff seems like it's been kind of dropped off for a while, it's like there wasn't anything that was really wasted outside of that whole, you know, Romeo and Juliet episode. Nothing was forgotten about it. Everything wrapped up into a nice, neat little package by the end of it. It's like, and it was really, really well done. And my God, do I love Blade.
The writing really is genius. Like, they don't just, like, seclude things like, alright, so this section is all this section is all this. Yeah, each arc is, like, focusing on a different character, but it's never exclusively that character, and it's never exclusively that arc. Everyone is constantly growing in this series. And it really shows as you go on and you watch it, and you see their relationships build with each other.
Like, I think in terms of, like, the writing style of this series, like,
You cut out again.
Son of a crappy ass internet. When it comes to the writing for this series, I think the only two that I think truly come, or three, I guess, that come really, really close to this level of writing was Ryuki, because it was really, really well done despite some of its issues. Deno's writing was really, really good until it got to the final boss, because then it kind of went left field on that. And then X-Aid. The writing in it is like, so anybody who's watched X-Aid, go back and watch Blade. You'll fucking love it. Just for the writing alone. It's like, there's nothing that was left out. No characters got really overlooked aside from, like, minor characters. It's like, it like, none of the arcs solely and entirely focused on just the, you know, growth of one character. It's like, everybody grew through the entire series, and it was fantastic.
Don't like X8? Watch Blade anyways. Never seen Rider before? Blade's a good one.
Yeah, I'm to the point now where I'm one of everybody, and I think I'm cutting out again.
You are.
I recommend Blade to anybody who's in love with Toku and has never seen it. Anybody who has seen it, go back and watch it. Anybody who's never watched a drop of Toku in their life, go watch Blade. It is phenomenal.
So, the director of Board, Tennoji, even though Board doesn't entirely exist anymore, excuse me, he's still been like paying Kenzaki and people to like do their job. Except now he's stopped paying Kenzaki. We come find out he's been using all of his research of the undead to create a 5th category ace, Cerberus Undead. He basically tells Kenzaki and Tachibana, like, yeah, you guys are fired, you're not needed anymore. I got all I need. So, Kenzaki, he originally, like, sealed away Mutsuki's jack. He now gives it to him, because Mutsuki is now in control of himself. He now trusts him as a rider, even though Mutsuki doesn't trust himself anymore. But now Mutsuki has all 13 cards in his suit. So, good for him. There's only one other real undead, Giraffe Undead, Tachibana's king, who Mutsuki tries to talk to. Besides the Joker, besides Hajime. Mutsuki tries talking to him like, hey, do you mind just, if we don't fight anymore, can we just be happy like this? He says no. He, in fact, absolutely hates humans, so that when he wins, he's going to not include humans in his new world. He's effectively going to extinct them. This guy, yeah. Oof. Anything on this?
What a shit dick.
Asshole.
Motherfucking bastard of the nth degree.
It's amazing how many just like really bad villains there are in the show. Pretty great. Bad as in a good thing, but yeah.
While they're talking, the Cerberus Undead shows up, and Giraffe is just like, you want to try and persuade him too? Veshi, did you have something to say?
No, I bumped my mute button.
Oh, okay. Kenzaki does end up defeating the Cerberus Undead, and Tennoji seals it away. He then brings it to the Sealing Stone, and which he used to bring it to life in the first place, and he fuses it with himself. Like, he gets his own rouser together and he puts it in. He basically turns himself into an undead. And this is where they kind of get Giraffe to agree to work with them to deal with this bigger threat.
In terms of him turning himself essentially into a fucking undead. Because why the fuck not? If you're gonna be an evil shit dick, be an evil shit dick the whole way.
Well, what he wants is he wants the power that the winner of the battle fight gets, which is the power to change the world. So he needs to be an undead to do that. We get this really good shot of like all four riders have come together. They're working together now, and they just like are all on their motorcycles. Like, all right, let's go deal with him because he's a problem. And they pass by him in his limo because he was also on his way to meet them. And they stop and have this nice little chat on the side of the road about how he plans on destroying the world and creating a new one. None of them want that. In the big fight, they do manage to defeat him and separate him from Cerberus. And then just reseal away the Cerberus. And then the Giraffe Undead kills Tennoji. And Mutsuki goes, "What the fuck? I thought we were working together." And Giraffe goes, "No, I just wanted him out of the way."
This series is trusting people, man.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, to me, Mutsuki trusting him made more sense than Tachibana trusting half the people he trusted.
Tachibana can't catch a break.
First he trusts the wrong person, then his girlfriend dies. Then he trusts the wrong person again. Then he trusts the wrong person again.
Wrong person. The second wrong person tries to kill Kinzaki on him. You know.
Yeah.
So now we're getting to like the real climax of the series. It's revealed that Hajime was fighting Giraffe Undead in the Snowy Mountains when their battle costed Amane's father his life. So we finally learn why her father was dying. It was in their fight. I believe it was because Hajime dodged an attack, and so that attack ended up hitting him instead. In a way, Hajime was indirectly responsible for her father's death. And that's probably, in addition to how much he was thinking about of his family, the fact that he kind of caused that also tacked on to why he went to the cafe and started living with them. So now Tachibana doesn't want the Joker to win because the Joker will destroy the world. Kinzaki doesn't believe that Hajime will do that because Hajime wants to be a human. He believes that Hajime won't destroy the world. Tachibana does give the suggestion. Mutsuki has the card that can unseal sealed undead, unseal human undead, and then seal the other two. But he ends up putting his faith in Kinzaki, whose faith is in Hajime. He sacrifices himself, sealing Giraffe undead, leaving Hajime as the winner of the battle fight. But despite his wishes, he is the Joker. He is the fail state. So the end of the world begins.
This entire setup was just phenomenal and a good way to twist for the set of episodes, because throughout this entire last arc it was let's trust Hajime and all this, and by extension trust Kenzaki, and then by extension trust Hajime that Hajime is not going to end the world. But then it just came down to, you don't have a choice in this matter. This is just going to happen.
Any other undead would have a choice. You're not one of them. It really sucks because this means that he couldn't have won at all despite his wishes. It really puts him in a rough situation because now he can't do anything to stop the end of the world. He's already winning. He's already won, rather. There's nothing he can do about it. King? Decade? Anything?
Yeah, I was just... the whole final battle with Tachibana was pretty damn intense. But, yeah, I was pretty, it's one of those endings, beginning of the endings where you're like, what the fuck's gonna happen next? And you're really anticipating it. It's not just dragging on. It's just really sudden, and intense once the things start spawning and all that, which we'll get to.
I'll ask again, is this seriously a common trait where every time we think we might have an advantage, we get fucked over again?
Probably.
In this series, yeah, especially in this series, yes.
Fan-fucking-tastic. I did actually already know about the Joker thing with the end of the world, so at least that's something I know about, and yeah, that sort of seems like a weird fucked moment. So, kinda speaks for itself there.
So the end of the world basically involves these monsters called dark roaches that just start spawning in and killing off humans. Hajime is no longer a rider. Tachibana is dead. That just leaves Kinzaki and Mutsuki to try and fight them off. And you really feel it too when you realize there's only 2 riders left. That's all they've got. We time skip to a week later. They're still fighting. Still trying to stop them all. Kinzaki, it's becoming suggested that they need to find an alternate method because the dark roaches aren't stopping. Maybe if they go and they do seal Hajime, that'll put an end to it because then there won't be a winner anymore. Kinzaki disagrees with this, and he goes out and continues to keep fighting dark roaches, and in one instance is saved by Tachibana. Disappointingly, he ends up being alive, and I say disappointingly because his sacrifice had so much meaning behind it that the fact that he was still alive kind of takes away from it. Not that I wanted his character to die, but it was a better story for him when he died. It was a better conclusion to his character arc as a whole.
Just a small nitpicky question. Did they fight for a week straight? Before
No.
Tachibana came?
Occasionally they'd be okay, some have appeared over here, and they'd go out and deploy, but they would be doing it so much that they're clearly losing out on sleep because of it.
I gotcha, because I was gonna say, well, no wonder they're fucking losing.
I agree with you with Tachibana's death feeling with him still being alive. My internet is crap. I apologize to everybody. His death seemed to have a lot of meaning and a lot of weight. So when we find out that he's alive, it kind of takes away from that. It was a good way to reveal that he was still alive, especially the explanation that they kind of gave, even if it didn't entirely make a whole lot of sense for why somebody was where they were at. But all in all, it's it ended up being a decent way to, oh, by the way, this guy's still alive. It just seemed unnecessary with the weight that his death held.
And the whole thing about how he saved him is that there was literally another character right there that could have done that. So it's not like Tachibana needed to be alive, especially since he doesn't do anything for the rest of the series. This is the last 2 episodes. Tachibana being alive again literally adds nothing and takes away something.
So it's Philip again?
Kind of.
Only just an episode earlier?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
But now we come down to the thing that the series has been building up to. Tachibana resolves that he's going to go and seal Hajime. Kenzaki doesn't let him, though. He says, no, I haven't been just going out and fighting dark roaches for nothing. He goes out and he tracks down Hajime. We get this one scene of basically Kotaro has brought his sister and Amane back to his house to hide from the dark roaches. We get this one scene of Amane going back to the cafe to look at Hajime's stuff, wondering where did he go, because she doesn't know anything that's truly going on. And then the dark roaches start to attack the building, and the Joker comes by and tells them, no, stay away from that human. So even though he has lost all control, he still has that much left. Kenzaki goes, finds the Joker, and challenges him. Joker resolves that, you've come to seal me, fine, I accept my fate, this isn't what I wanted. But no, that's not what Kenzaki's plan was. By using king form, abusing it so much, he becomes an undead. He becomes another Joker. With 2 undead remaining, the battle fight does not have a winner, so it must continue. But if they stay near each other, they will be tempted to fight by their natural instinct. So, to prevent them from fighting, Kenzaki runs away so that Haji may continue his life as a human. If there were any questions that Kamen Rider Blade is the best rider, here's my answer. This, I feel, is the best ending to any Rider series.
And I completely agree. It's...
You cut out.
Of course. As much as I love, X8, for me, X8 is one of the best Rider series I've seen in a very long time. I started watching Blade during the middle of it because I wanted to do this podcast. I still have to say that Blade is the best series. Even with as neatly as X8 wrapped everything up, despite some issues, Blade's ending alone is just amazing. Because there's a scene at the end of it where everybody's kind of going about their lives now that everything's over and done with. And there's a scene where Hajime is walking back from getting, I guess, groceries or whatever. And he sees Kenzaki sitting on a bench, and he gets really, really happy and really, really excited. Because there's my friend, essentially, is Hajime's thought. And then he just fades away. It's no! It's amazing and heartbreaking all at the same time, and it's phenomenal.
And then you get the scene of Kenzaki riding his bike through a desert somewhere, middle of nowhere, just gone.
And the only thing for me that ended up killing the reveal that he becomes an undead was because I happened to watch the Go Rider special for X8.
Yeah,
which spoiled it super hard. To be fair, it was 13 years later.
Right.
And by this, it's one of the few reasons I know anything about Blade.
It was very... Despite that, the Go Rider special was well, yes, it spoiled the ending of it. It was more the journey to how did it get to that point? How did he become an undead?
Their relationship building throughout the series that leads him to making that decision.
It was just fantastic. When I sit and I think of everything I want in a Rider series, it is literally Blade.
You know how Zero's throughout X8 would compare certain moments to moments in Blade?
Yes.
I'm not saying he's right, I'm not saying he's wrong, but there's a reason why he keeps going to Blade. Because it did a lot of things that you could compare an X8 to.
And oh, is he going to be mad when he finds out about this podcast?
That's
Sorry,
all on
Zero.
you. You are taking full responsibility for that.
Less work for him. I'm sure he won't mind.
Right, and that was my thought. So Zero, if you're listening, I apologize, but I figured it'd be less work to do, less videos on your channel, and yeah, sorry I stole your podcast crew.
Well, not all of us.
Now we'll invite Zero after this.
Speaking of, which one are we gonna do if we do it again?
Probably Kabuto. That's what. Well, maybe Kabuto. That no promises, but Vashi is watching Kabuto right now for the first time.
Yeah, and it's taking me longer to watch that than it took me to watch Blade.
Well, Blade's better.
I'm still on the first, I'm ending up on the first arc of Kabuto now.
I have thought about like doing a one for Kamen Rider Wizard. I've been thinking about watching that one finally. Haven't fully decided. But if you guys are interested in that, then I might be down for it.
Over the next couple of days, I guess we can all sit down and see which one we want to do. I'd rather this time be something all of us have seen. Because while this format worked out really well for this podcast, it just might be better if we've all seen it. That way, certain people don't feel left out.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll figure that all out here over the next couple of days. Did you have any thoughts on the last set of episodes, Decade?
Yeah. I mean, that ending, holy shit.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it was so good. I mean, when that episode ended, I was like, damn, the show's over. So good. And I'm so glad that they finally brought back some of the writers, even if it was just voice acting roles in Grand Prix, or I mean, but hell yeah, bringing Ken and Kenzaki back for Go Rider, that was freaking awesome. So yeah,
I love that Go Rider used like actual Blade lore in it.
yeah, that was pretty damn.
Time.
Yeah, he made Goodham look like a dumb bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he did.
Literally, like, yeah, me just being here unravels all of your plans. And I'm only here because you called me here.
You dumb jackass.
CEO Jackass, meet Undead. Oh wait, no.
It was a phenomenal use of not only Blade lore, but just Rider lore in general in a series outside of that one, which we don't get in crossovers ever. Whoever wrote Go Rider is a genius.
Right, because like, if this had been like, if this had been any other special, it would have been like mid-series fucking Blade, you know, before he was an undead. It wouldn't have because that's the way it typically goes with like the crossovers. It's just, oh, we were somehow pulled from our time, Deno. You know, so it's like for this to literally be, you know, post-series, Kenzaki was phenomenal.
I really wish Blade had sucker punched him, or better yet, Kiria though.
Well, didn't they do like a 5-way rider kick?
Yeah,
That Laser fucking tripped on.
Yeah.
No, that was the monster. That wasn't Ganem.
Oh.
Still, rider kicks are fine. I don't mind that. And yeah, the scene where they got pushed into the portal with him was fine. I did cry at that. But it's not the same as when you see a guy sucker punch another guy because he deserved it. If that had been Kiria or Blade, that would have been fucking up.
Any final thoughts?
Ryuki might be my favorite Rider series. I think Blade is the best Rider series there's been. I haven't seen all of them, but I don't know if this can be topped.
It can't.
Yes, it can.
No, it can't. It cannot. It is too good.
It's really good. The writing is top notch. The story is great. The characters evolve with the stories. They actually grow. You can just see how their character relationships evolve. There's this one scene we didn't really talk about where this one undead impersonates Kinzaki to kind of pit them all against each other. He walks into the cafe where Hajime is like, "Oh, hey, well, since you're here, why don't you help out?" Just casually, "Hey, we're buds now." In a series where they started at each other's throat. So it's yeah, you help. And then, Hajime thinks that Kinzaki is going mad. And so he's like, "I once went mad and Kinzaki helped me out. I'm going to do the same for him here." It is glorious.
Yeah.
This series was so good at showing the evolution of the character. It to me is one of the, like I said, there were where it seemed,
Okay, you're cutting out a lot.
fudge nuggets. This series is phenomenal with character development. It even gets to a point where it seems like they're forgetting characters a little bit, like with Mutsuki. His character seems so underdeveloped throughout the entire series. But then you get little moments that you tend to not really think too much on in terms of character development, and then it gets to his final thing, and it's, oh, that's what all that was about. Now it makes sense. That was all character development, and it's done very, very well and very organically. Because there's been a lot of series where the character development seems really forced, and all that is and this was just phenomenal. Even the camera work, which threw me a bit, because
it shakes.
Throughout the battles, it's
it's a guy just holding the camera. It's not on a stand or anything.
Right. It's but you get the fights, and they're kind of on the rollers. I mean, you get a little bit of the shaky from here to here, depending on the angle, but the fights are perfectly filmed. And then you get every other scene, and the camera's shaky a little bit.
You get them just sitting around a table, and the camera guy can't hold still.
But it is bad as that seems, and as bad as that sounds,
it works.
It's beautiful.
It helps fill in the tone, strangely enough. And it's minor details like that really add into this series. When I was rewatching it for this podcast, I was paying more attention to which undead were being sealed. It's yeah, here, this is where they seal that one, and then that's how Kinzaki gets his rider kick. Okay, and now he has the elemental one, so now it's electric, and now he has the speed one, so now it goes fast.
He got a sonic power up.
Or just when you notice oh, he sealed that other person's undead. And then that kind of makes more sense when they start handing cards to each other.
Yeah, but I honestly do think that build has the potential to be on the level of Blade. Because, I mean, like you guys said, Blade beginning can be seen as a bit rough. As awesome as some of its aspects are, there are some pretty rough aspects. So, who knows? Build could be just blowing through shit to make way for some really good plot. So,
I have some hopes for Build.
Optimistic about that.
I have hopes for Build.
Yeah. We will see.
I think everybody but the TV Nihon forums has hope for Build.
Like, Zero is going off about how his rider kick is dumb, and like I can see his point of view. Like, it's not like a traditional rider kick. He's more of like just doing a slide. I think it's one of the most creative rider kicks we've ever gotten.
Thank you.
And I can appreciate that.
The reason why
Sorry.
the main reason why I have no problem with his rider kick is every series they have their own gimmick. Like with Forza, it was let's attach a giant fucking rocket to my arm, fly up in the sky, attach a drill to my leg, and drill the fucker. You know, and then with Oz's rider kick, when he actually did it, it was, hey, let's go through the O's rings. The Cage was, let's go through the cards. You know, Blades was, whichever cards he used. I mean, they all had their gimmick. So I have no problem with the fact that the series that is based in science has a sciencey gimmick for its rider kick.
I don't see anyone complaining about the Overkill X8 kick.
I have
Like,
to say though,
where he does like all that Sonic spin dash shit.
That one was literally called Overkill by the show. I don't hear anyone complaining about that one.
But, like, yeah, it's like everything that I've seen out of Build is passable in terms of what you would expect for the first couple of episodes of a series, because it's always hard to get this stuff off the ground.
I think like with that we've said pretty much all we wanted to about Blade. I think I've said everything I wanted to. Phenomenal characters, phenomenal acting, phenomenal writing, phenomenal show.
Yeah, and I would just add phenomenal background music and phenomenal insert songs and opening songs.
Forgot, yeah.
So damn good.
Totally.
Oh, absolutely. The music for this series is just great.
I prefer the first insert song they used for combat over the second one, but like the soundtrack for this series is spot on.
Yeah, and the second and third ones are sung by writers, so their stuff pretty decent.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Don't know what the next OpenCast is going to be about, but stay tuned to find out. See ya next time.
Peace.
Later, taters.
Thank you, everybody, for joining OpenCast. What the next topic will be, or a podcast will officially actually take place. I'll end up finding a way to send out notifications through various media to let everybody know when we have it decided on when and what the podcast shall be. For those of you who want to continue to hear more about Kamen Rider or Toku in general with Kamen Rider or Super Sentai, please check out Toku Portal, where all of us actually are from. We have a podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 o'clock, and we hope you guys check it out. Peace.